Thank you for that. I greatly appreciate that. It means the world to me that it resonates with you and some of the other people, because my methods are, I mean, they weren't created by me. They weren't invented by me. I just simply took what I was taught and morphed them into what worked for my personality. Good afternoon, Mr. Sayers. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you doing? How's everyone?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Doing good,
so,
thank
hey,
you.
David, I know you were out last week. Did you get a chance to listen to the replay at all?
I did today, early this morning.
Awesome. So with the couple of you that are on the call, I really wanted to rehash it because all three of you guys weren't on the call last week. David, what was your take from the replay this morning?
My underlying why. Like, that was really what I got out of the call. What it really was.
Right. Does everybody understand the psychology about why it's so important?
Uh-huh.
Can somebody speak to that a little bit in your own words? Why you think this technique is so valuable in what we do?
Because being connected to it and consciously being connected, not just having it run and being turned on and turned off, motivates the context around the conversation for the listener.
It builds rapport with them, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It provides the borrower or the client or the consumer a chance to understand you in a way that is more relatable. I think a lot of times we tend to describe ourselves in these adjectives that really are how everybody describes themselves, or we use terms that are very commoditizing. And so I always struggled to find that value in who I was so that my clients could see me for who I really was. You know, in the analogy that I used last week of the taxi cab and limo, I think that really resonated with me for many, many years because I always felt like I was a limo. I always felt like the service and the knowledge and the overall experience was centered around that mindset of I wanted to be better than everybody else. But our clients show up and they believe that all we are is a taxi cab. And so I always worried that in order for me to be able to connect with my client on that way, I would always have to just do more. I would have to be more. I would always have to be available 24/7. And that was very, very, it wears you out. And eventually you stop trying to be that person because it never feels like you get ahead. So the whole idea behind the unique selling proposition or behind the passion is really because if your clients aren't sitting in front of you knowing exactly why they should use you, they're asking themselves, who else should we use? I'm sure we've all had those instances, whether it's in the mortgage profession or not, where we believe that we're the best option for people. However, our clients don't necessarily agree with that, and then we find ourselves sitting there going, what didn't I do? And they've got their services and business gone elsewhere. So I'd be really curious to hear from you guys today. Can a few of you kind of speak a little bit about how would you define your why? Like, what is your passion behind why you do this?
I think we talked a little bit about it the other day in passing, and again, I don't get a lot of extra time, guys. This is Denise, just because I'm with Doug all the time. But I think one of the things that I really heard in your chat last week was validation. I thought that was huge. And I think sometimes in whatever we're doing, whatever profession we're in, we feel like that need to know that we are you know, that we're liked, that we're thought of as a professional in what we do, that people share our information with others because that we made such an impact in their life. So all of that to me is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, this is Travis. I spent a lot of time thinking about that from last week as well.
Hey, Travis, good afternoon, buddy.
I never
you were
thought
the
of
guinea.
that.
You were the guinea pig last week, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I spent a lot of time this week thinking about validation and how that works and how to, like, it really resonated. I spent a lot of time kind of going back over and saying, okay, where am I? How does this actually ring true for me? And I never thought about it in that terms, but I think it's 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm. We all want to be seen. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. If we're standing in front of a mirror, whether it's with our significant other, with our family, with our colleagues, with whomever, we want to be seen for what we believe we are. We believe that we're all great, high integrity, amazing people that bring value to others in our life. We're all meant to build relationships. It's just to what level we're capable of building those relationships at the time. I feel like when we sit in front of our clients that we lose sight of that persona. We aren't clear who we are, therefore our clients are unclear on who we are. And I think that becomes the largest disconnect, and what we do is we fall into basically just dumbing ourselves down to good faith estimates, rates, fees, and closing turn times. The problem is that if you're trying to build a business through relationships, and let me kind of just preface this. This entire conversation is not designed for somebody who wants to build their business by buying leads, by building a business around volume and around the transactional mindset, where your job is to take 50 applications a month, and your goal is to hopefully close 5 of them and just churn them and burn them. That is not what this business model that I speak about is all about. It's about true relationships, and then using the power of your articulation to create moments and leverage that relationship to help further your business in the future by doing it in a very premeditated way. And what we're talking about is really just the foundational piece, because without your understanding of what you're after, it's really, really difficult to kind of map it out from there. Larissa, can you talk to me a little bit about what your thoughts were about the call last week?
For me, I thought that it's very unusual, and you don't see a lot of loan officers when they're talking to people tell them their why. So I think that's what I sort of got out of it. Most people, I think the realtors and the borrowers, they're going to be shocked when you approach them in that manner. And right there, it's sort of going to set a difference between myself and somebody else in reference to whether or not they should work with me. Because everybody else is just going to go straight into these are the rates and these are the programs, and not, if I go into it and, pretty much lay out what my why is and in my anticipation of helping them to be in their best situation, it's going to set me apart.
Right. So here's a technique that, now that you guys have all heard the class, that I would ask that you guys try. In your next realtor or networking event that you have, I want you guys to ask that question to another professional. And I want you to listen to what they say. And then I would ask you to practice your presentation to them. And I want you to realize the difference between what most, if not everybody else, says about why a client should use you versus how you say why a client should use you. And the way that I communicated that value last week and how it resonated, as Travis said, it really hit home. Imagine if you were having that conversation with your agents, how many of them are going to look at you and feel and believe that you are completely, totally different, or in my words, framing you in a totally different image than what they're used to. So what's up on the screen? Does anybody have a computer screen up? David, you do, right?
Yep. Yeah, I do.
Can you read what the 2 bullet points are that are on the screen?
Sure. People don't buy things. They buy a result, solution, or benefit.
Okay.
People don't buy products, services, companies, or people. They buy beliefs and perceptions backed up by evidence.
Okay. People buy beliefs and perceptions. This is the psychology of exactly what this assignment was really about. You're convincing people through a belief system on why you do what you do. That hits home to people on so many levels that they've never in a million years could ever articulate it the way that you guys are learning how to articulate it. As you become more comfortable in the conversations, and so what you guys heard on the call last week was years and years and years of role playing and trying it and, you know, working through what I was good at, and to hear what I said doesn't come without many, many, many at-bats trying to do it. And that's where we really want to get to, is your number one goal in every opportunity is to practice this. And the reason it's so powerful is because it works with not only your friends, your family, your colleagues, but the people you're trying to build relationships with for business. Whether it's affiliated partners, whether it's CPAs, attorneys, accountants, home inspectors, whomever, realtors, builders, it paints a picture of you to be completely and totally different. But it doesn't come without practice. It doesn't come without making that the forefront of your conversation. See, I firmly believe that when you sit down with somebody for the first time, you have to assume in your mind that they've already got an image of who you are before you open your mouth. We've talked about that whole, the whole first impression idea. So while you've got that short 5-minute window, it's imperative that when you sit down with somebody for the first time, whether it be a client, whether it be a builder, a realtor, it doesn't matter, that you express this to them. And here's the technique that really is powerful for those of you that have a database or have a network of people that you guys can connect with. This is such a great call to make to people that you already have a relationship with, because it's a skill that you can teach them if they're in a similar business, and it promotes your ability to be aware of how they can become better at what they do for a living. How many of us know realtors that you could teach this to and they would find value in it with their clients? Does anybody have a realtor that they think of that they could go up to and go, listen, I know you're good at what you do, but here's something that I learned recently that's transformed the way that I talk to my clients? How do you value yourself to your clients? What do you tell your clients about you that makes them want to use you?
I do.
What do you think?
Absolutely.
What's that?
I said absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think the typical response is from realtors? Let's just use them as an example. What's the typical response that you hear from realtors as to why people use them?
I work harder.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's
I'm
a
always
common
available.
one.
I'm always available.
Mm-hmm. Great marketing
People,
for the listing.
right.
So, you know,
Don't buy things.
Checklist of services. They have like 159 list of 159 things they'll do for you.
Right.
That's what they actually use as their selling technique.
Right. But ask yourself, how is that any different than what every other agent has available?
Not.
So here's a good approach, and this is a technique that I want you guys to take away for this week, which is, now that you guys are working on this thought process, I want you guys to use it as a way to create some great conversations with some new realtors. So Denise, I'm sure, has heard me say this several times. Does anybody have an idea of what the 3 things are that we get compensated to do in this business is?
3 things we get compensated for.
What
Originating?
are the 3 things that we get paid for?
To put money into realtors' pockets.
I love it. And then they kick us while we're down, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Does anybody have any ideas?
Developing relations.
Like negotiate for them.
I would say to network, originate, and close.
Yeah.
Network, originate, and close. So we get paid by our buyers when we are presenting our value to our clients or our relationships. Our value to them is that we negotiate, fund, and close.
Oh, for the buyers. What? Yeah.
It's realtors. It's realtors. It's buyers. It's whomever is going to do business with you. What do you use, or what do you tell them that you are paid to do?
Oh, okay, that's something different. What I tell that's something different.
I'm paid to develop a referral system, a perpetual referral system.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Anybody? I know Denise started to talk about something. What was that?
You negotiate for your borrower. You're basically, I mean, you kind of take care of the things that they may not understand. So you're kind of there to negotiate with you end up doing a lot for them as far as, dealing with the realtors, kind of being their, I don't know what you would call it, but
like a project manager.
Well, yeah, you kind of assist them in every part of the deal, because I mean, you help them with making sure they're making the right decision if they're selling or they're rebuying. I mean, you kind of get involved in all of it, and you kind of break it down. You kind of know who they're dealing with and all of that. You kind of get involved in all facets of the deal, as far as I'm concerned, I think.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
I would pay to guide them. I get paid to guide them through the process, through the whole, through everything.
Right. Agreed. Agreed.
Like a consultant. You become a consultant for them, basically. They're consultants.
Okay. I like it. That's almost spot on. And here's the reason this question is relevant. Once you sit down with somebody and you've made that framework the way that you want it by painting the picture of why you do what you do and why your business is relationship-based and why you care at the highest level, it's always important to be able to explain to them the benefits of working with you. And many of what Denise has said, because she's heard me say this in the past, is really true. We get paid really to do three things with our clients. We get paid to consult, which means that we get paid to sit down and interview them, ask them the tough, very detail-oriented questions to extract what their goals, wants, and dreams and needs are out of their head and put them into a feasible game plan. That's what a consultant does. Now, if you just stopped right there, we can pretty much identify realtors and other LOs in our careers that we know that are really good consultants, and we know ones that are horrible consultants. A consultant is not an order taker. Let's be clear about that. Each of you that are on the call is a real consultant. Each of you has the aptitude and the attitude to invest your time and energy into people, to get them to talk to you, to be able to communicate freely about what their goals, wants, and needs and dreams are. And that's imperative in what we do. That's the first thing that we get paid to do. The second thing we get paid to do is it's to be a negotiator. Our number two responsibility is to negotiate not only the rates with the banks and the borrower, but negotiate the time frames with the realtors and the title companies, but also between the underwriter and the buyer and the conditions and all that stuff. We really spend a lot of time negotiating a lot of the details between all the different parties, because we are like the hub of everything. And I, again, go back to, we know a lot of realtors and other lenders that are really good negotiators, and we know some that are really poor negotiators. But the one and final piece that makes us really unique, and that's because we've all proved that we care at the highest level, is that we really get paid to manage expectations and fears through the process. The first two can be done by anybody, but the last piece is the one component that really entrenches and really sticks to the foundation of why your business is built through relationships. Because in order to receive that opportunity, in order to orchestrate referable moments, in order to genuinely be able to ask people for their advocacy to your business, our number one concern is to be able to ask people what their fears are and then be able to manage them throughout the process. Most of the time, our clients are really, really happy with us up until something goes wrong. You remember that list of 88 things that could potentially go wrong, that list of turbulence? This piece of the puzzle is what allows you to then to present that list of possible turbulences. See, when you're doing the management of people's fears and expectations, those are the moments that you get to invoke belief and perception and results. You get to ensure that people recognize that you've prepared them. How many of you guys think that of the 3 things that I just listed, that being a consultant is your number 1 and only priority when you start a relationship with a client? How many think number 2, which is being a negotiator? And how many of you guys think that number 3, managing fears and expectations, is?
That is.
Do you think the one thing that we get, do you think the one thing that we get paid the most to do is really to manage fears and expectations?
Yeah, I would say 3.
Yeah, because if you don't do it well, the whole deal's going to fall apart because you can't keep it together.
And let's be clear, we're all really, really engaged with our clients, aren't we?
Yep.
Yes.
So when you're sitting in front of a realtor, and this is the challenge that I'm going to put on you guys for the next week, when you're sitting in front of a realtor and you're trying to convince them that you're the right person to align with, to send their clients to, what we talked about this week, and then taking this little nugget and tying it into the back end of the why that you're the right LO for them, how do you think your value has been communicated to the realtor? Do you think it's different than any other realtor or any other LO that's met with them? Or do you think that you've just now presented something in words that many people feel that have never been able to articulate it in the way that you just did?
Yeah, you're going to be one in a million with those agents.
And the cool part is that it's a great tool to teach them. Even if they've been doing real estate for decades, having this simple conversation about, when a client sits in front of you, Mr. Realtor, why do you think they use you? I get that you've got all these programs and platforms and history and all that stuff, but why do you think people use you? You know, what is it that creates that emotion in them being able to believe that you're the right realtor? Because every realtor out there has those same things. And then ask a realtor, what you get paid a 3% commission, right? What does that 3% commission work out to? How do you communicate what you get paid to do is? And then respond with the why that you guys do your business this way, and then talk to them how you believe you get compensated. This works so well at establishing a high level of credibility and a high level of rapport with your realtors that it's almost unheard of for a realtor not to become engaged with you in a conversation that isn't revolving around mortgages anymore. It's involving around business, which is really essentially what we really want to be. We want to be a partner to these agents. We want to be able to provide them with a layer of value that nobody else can.
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
Hey, John, good afternoon, buddy.
What's happening, Doug? Yes, sir.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic, buddy. Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking. So, hey, John, did you listen to the class last week?
Nope.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay.
I did
All
get
right.
the link, though.
You what?
Got the link, but I haven't listened yet.
Okay, no worries. So I'm going to ask you guys to make a commitment to me, and if anybody has the ability of saying it now, I would like to hear somebody's presentation around what we've been talking about. Does anybody feel like they've got a good enough handle on it to be able to just kind of say it out loud to the rest of the group to see how well it sounds and how well it flows?
Nope.
Oh, you guys are gonna make me pick somebody?
No.
I definitely do not have a handle on it, that's for sure.
Okay.
I'm working
Well, hey,
on it.
Larissa.
Yes. Yes.
Let's just try it.
Oh my God.
Let's try it. Oh man! Now,
Hey, Larissa,
Yeah.
before you go, I want to make a comment. First off, thank you for volunteering. I greatly appreciate it.
Mhm. I knew when I opened my mouth you were going to pick me, by the way.
I know. I knew that. That's why I picked you.
It's voluntold, not volunteered.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Voluntold. Here's what I want you to understand. First and foremost, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's not the words that you're going to say that are going to matter. It's the fact that you're going to do it that matters. The fact that you're going to attempt it that matters. See, the people you're speaking to don't know it any differently than the way you say it. So no matter how much you think you need to be a certain way, the fact that you just get the message across, whether it's stumbling through it or you sail right through it, it doesn't really matter. It's just the means of being able to do it. And the reason why I want you guys to practice this is because, let's be honest, guys, we are mortgage professionals, but yet I don't think we spend enough time in our businesses practicing our craft. As a matter of fact, I can almost assure you that no one this week spent time practicing their craft. They do it, or you do it in front of your clients. You do it at the moment that it happens, and you hope that you remember what you need to say, otherwise the moment passes you by. The only way that this really becomes part of your business is if you make the mental commitment to understand how it impacts your client's perception of you. If you're not practicing it every time you go to a client's office or every time you go to sit down with a client face-to-face, you're losing out on eventually the opportunity to leverage that relationship. Because what you're trying to do is establish how you're different. And if you don't, you're always going to be looked at as a taxi cab. And as we've said before, you only get 5 minutes or less to make a first impression. You can decide how that impression looks. This is just a technique that makes you look a little bit different around what you want them to see you as. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you're sitting in front of a realtor, and this is a new agent that you've never met with before, and you wanted to get them to spend some time talking to you, talk to us.
So actually, I met with a realtor this morning.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I can't remember word for word what I said to her, but it was the first time that we had met. It was a referral from somebody, and how did I start the conversation? I told her, well, I just obviously said hi, hello, I'm Larissa, we talked on the phone, I'm really excited to meet with you, and before we began, I sort of wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, and I told her about my 3 kids and my husband, and I told her that, like her, my business is a referral-based business, and that my goal was to help her increase her business and her rapport with her clientele, which in helping her clients, and that's sort of how it started. And then she sort of started talking, and then I started talking, and then it sort of went from there.
Okay. How do you feel like you communicated your value to her? Do you think you would rate yourself from 1 to 10, 10 being the best?
Oh, it definitely wasn't 10 being the best. Definitely not. I know that I need to work on it. That was for sure. But, I mean, for me, it was a start because, honestly, I never would have taken that approach to begin with, period. I usually would just say hello and sort of let them take over the conversation, I guess. So that in itself was just a step for me. But I know I have to work on it. I mean, if I want to rate, put from a 1 through a 10, I may give it a 4. So I know I have to work on it. I definitely have to work on it.
Okay. What do you think you could have done differently?
Wow. I guess I could have gone more into how I would have been value to her and her clients.
Okay. How could you have said that you were more, how could you expand on that a little bit more?
Well, let's see. How could I expand? I mean, expand on what? I guess is what do you want me to expand on? How I could help her, or?
Well, you said that you could have expanded more on your value to her.
Yes, because I guess, because most of the time, they're just thinking, as a realtor looking at a mortgage lender, they're just thinking that you're selling rates and loans. So, and programs, I guess. So I could have gone more into, like, how I treat my clients in turn, I guess, was a reflection of her, and how I can help her get more referrals by following up with them and things like that. Is that what you mean?
Well, I'm curious. Yes, that's what I was looking for, but I'm more concerned about what you meant. So that's what I meant. Yes, that's what I meant. Yes. Okay. Yes. Because at the end of every initial conversation, you have to look back at it and go, did I make it about them? We have to be very careful that when we communicate what our value is, that we don't lose sight of who the client in that conversation truly is. And that is to get the person that we're talking to recognize the value of partnering with us. And the value is exactly what you said, Larissa. The way you treat your clients is built around that relationship mindset that you eventually want to cultivate an experience that's referable, which in turn looks really good on her. And I don't think that there's a lender out there who can sit down and articulate that in that way to provide that relational concept. So a realtor understands that when an agent gives you a buyer, they know what kind of experience that buyer is going to go through. And so when this conversation comes up, and how many of us have been told that I'd be more than happy to refer you out, I give out 3 names every time I get an opportunity to? Have we all run into that scenario?
I have.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Because we know it's we just know it's a lie.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, in this kind of dialogue, doesn't it provide you with almost a perfect response? I don't necessarily want to be the only lender you use, but know that when you refer me, we have a platform and a business mindset and a business model that's geared to orchestrate referral moments, which provides us a chance to generate new business from that one relationship that you give us. What other lender do you know that can provide that layer of service and that layer of referability while at the same time meeting your closing deadlines and your time frames? It's your choice who you refer out, and I get that you have a relationship, but does your agent or does your LO ever refer you? Does your LO have the means in which he's capable or she's capable to refer you? See, this entire conversation sets the stage for any excuse that a realtor would have to not make you a priority, because no other lender is going to frame themselves in this way, and it identifies you as being somebody so totally different, but yet you're the same, because we're all going to do the same thing when a client comes into the application. We're all going to provide them with a rate. We're all going to provide them with competitive fees. We're all going to provide them with a time frame. We're all going to service them. But the presentation of what you're giving them is more or less, here's my limo. You can choose to refer out your 2 cabs, but the reality is you're sitting here in front of a client that can provide you a limousine ride. And don't you think your clients deserve that? You have that conversation, I'm willing to bet you'll get at least 1 at bat. Does anybody find value in how this whole conversation kind of morphs into a presentation to agents?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Do you think that new agents, what's that?
So basically, if you're sitting in front of them, you want to start with, after you talk about family and friends and kind of get that kind of, not family and so forth, just kind of that social aspect of it, you would go right into, let me ask you something. Why do buyers work with you? Would that be something that, number one, would that be too forward, or would that be the next thing to do and then go into the why and then?
Well, I always used to start the conversation off by, I think it's important before we continue that you get a very good sense of who's sitting on this side of the table. Because in my head, I'm always going, I know that they're going to hear what I say, but I want them to really listen to what I say. And I think that in order for them to listen, they have to feel comfortable, and I have to bridge that connection emotionally with them so that they feel what I'm about before we get into all the details. And I think conversation, say that again?
Well, I was wondering, I mean, you could actually say that, say, to the realtor, realtor, thanks for meeting with me today. Before we get started, I just really want to give you 2 minutes on me, why I'm here, so that we can, see if we're a good fit for each other right out the gate.
Bingo.
And
Bingo.
I think it's important for you to understand where I'm coming from so that you can hear me.
Right. And I think what you do then is you frame.
Could you be that forward? I mean,
I think absolutely.
Forward.
I think in the beginning, but you take control of the conversation and you present your unique selling proposition. And then when you're done with that presentation, then you look across the table and go, so this is a little bit about who I am, and this is the way that my business is built. And I've always been a big believer that if our clients are listening to us, they're always thinking about questions like, why do they want to use us? Am I making the right choice? So I always start off my conversations with my agents with, why do your clients use you? What is it about your business that makes you good at what you do? So this is a great interviewing question, because the response that they give you, you can decide and determine whether or not they're in alignment with you or not. Mm-hmm. And then ask them also the other question of, so what are the 3 things that when a client asks you, what do you get paid to do, that makes you different? Because let's be honest, what a realtor does, you can go to a Home Depot and get a for sale by owner package, and in today's marketplace, you can do everything an agent does, can't you?
Yeah, Redfin it up.
So then your response is, I know that in this marketplace, in this day and age, that people tend to want to, they want to feel an experience, because we live in an experiential economy in these days. And so they're always looking for that experience, because in all fairness, a realtor, a buyer can go, or a seller can go put their home on the market, and a buyer can go buy a home through an agent and not even use you. So what are your, what do you believe is your, value proposition? Like, what are the things that you get paid to do that you can't get from a for sale by owner box, or just going and making an offer by yourself? And it's fun, because the conversations that they have after you've told them yours, you'll find that they tend to stumble over their words, because their mind's racing in 1,000 different directions, because they've never thought about it. And even if they had, they've never heard it explained the way that you presented it. And there lies the value. There lies that connection of, you're not just a normal LO. You're no longer just a rate and a fee and a closing date. You possess something that they want, because most people, I'm going to phrase that, everybody is attracted to those people that make them feel better about themselves, or make them feel like they know more than them. They want to be around people that help them survive or help them get better. By presenting that conversation to them in that way, yours first and then listening to theirs, what do you think the impact is?
Huge.
So back to Denise's point, to ask them what that is up front, I think it diminishes your abilities to be able to present it first and then listen to what they have to say, because I want them to hear you say it and then try to reiterate what you've said, and it really does evoke evokes a great dialogue. And as you spend more time really digging into why you're so good at your job, and you're using words that they've all heard before but never in this way, you develop a sense of value to them that they've never experienced before. And that leads into all these other conversations of, I know that you and I are both going to be fine, whether, you're going to leave today, I'm going to leave today, neither one of us is going to lose business, neither one of us is going to be out of a job tomorrow. But I believe that I'm looking for that partner that shares that same belief system around creating relationships and has the ability to be referable. And my team, and the way that we've run our business, we are a 100% referable practice, and we're trying to find realtors that are similar, because we value our clients so much that if we align ourselves with you, we're going to make those clients that you refer to us referable. They're going to be referable people to us, or they're going to refer people to us, and in turn, we'd like to refer it back to you. And that's just how our business works. tell me that conversation doesn't give you a chance to have a much more meaningful dialogue with realtors that you've never met before.
Yep.
Definitely.
So Mr. Egan, are you there, Travis? He jumped off. Okay. Denise.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear yours.
Oh. Okay. So this is speaking to a realtor, right?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, the role playing of the conversation of your value.
It's nice and fresh, so I guess we would, so as I'm meeting with them, tell them a little bit, I mean, socially, so how long have we would just talk. So thank you so much for meeting with me today. I'm so glad that Sally gave you my name. Before we get, okay, I'd really, I'm trying to probably dive into it, because what I want to say is I really would love to share a little bit about me. Before, I ask you some additional questions and see how we can help grow your business this year, which is the reason why you took this meeting with me and what I'm hoping to be able to do through the things we're going to learn about each other today. And then I would go into, first off, my approach to how I meet with my clients is a little different. My business is built around referring referrals, strictly referrals. I don't advertise, I don't pay for leads. So the way that I can grow my business is by continuing to give my clients the best possible service, so that when they think about a mortgage or they hear from someone else that's interested in getting involved in the mortgage, they think of me first. They think of me as the go-to person. And that's how I've been building my business through the years. But something really different happened. I started coaching, believe it or not. He's my fiance, but it's, besides that, it's really been great. I've learned some different techniques on how to start building my business by referrals, by true referrals from our clients. And let me tell you a little bit about my why. I have found, and I don't know why you're hearing me say this, if maybe this relates to you in any way of what you do with your clients, but I have found that as I talk to my clients, and I put myself in a situation where I'm their consultant and I'm finding out more ways about how they grow their business. And then I, negotiate for them as far as, how to put the deals together with you, the realtor, with the title companies and everything else. I explain to them, or I let them know that I'm really there to help them, guide them every step of the way, and managing how, what fears they may have about the unknown and how to get through a transaction. I don't know, I guess I could go on and on, but that's kind of the idea.
Okay. Can I give you 2 points of coaching on that?
Absolutely.
Take away the I statements and the me statements.
Okay.
Don't make it egocentric.
Okay.
Make it super servant mindset as opposed to superstar mindset.
The funny part is I didn't think I used any of that in there. So it's funny. I didn't even think I used that.
You said me and I way too many times.
Okay. So
See,
maybe
the art of it is really in how you're able to make the other person believe the value in it for them. See, you never want to lose sight of who you're really trying to convince. It isn't you. You're not telling and convincing yourself that you're the right person. You're trying to communicate that value to them, and they have to see the value. So any chance that you have to use the word me or I, you have to be able to find a way to make it a value proposition to them.
Okay.
When I created this practice, I built it around the mindset that my relationships were significantly important, and the reason is because the referral source that I do business with is the person that we service the most. See, when you're a referral source of ours, we know that when we have an at-bat, when we have a chance to work with a person that you've referred to us, our team is designed to orchestrate moments of referability that lead us to a very high likelihood that they're going to refer us. By doing that, it means that we have the ability then in turn to communicate your value to them, to put them in touch with you so that that circle or that triangle continues to grow. In my business, when I made that decision to build it around relationships, it was under the understanding that I only want to work with people who understand the value of, who understand the value of relationships.
Yeah, at the beginning, you were saying you and you and we.
Never use I. It's okay to use we, but don't use me and I, because that becomes extremely egocentric. And that person over a period of time will then just start to hear nothing but the I's and the me's. And subconsciously, they'll get turned off by it because they're going to hear that it is all just about you. What you have to realize is that what you're really doing, if you truly understand the concept of what I call the triangle of trust, it really is about making sure that that referral source is honored at the highest level. And because they're honored at the highest level, their clients are taken care of better than anybody because their needs, wants, and goals are at the forefront of every conversation, so that that referral source goes back and says thank you to that, it says thank you, which yields you another opportunity because they'll feel that reward of being acknowledged for putting them in touch with you. And the more that you can convey that, it becomes all about them.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That's all I've got for today, unless somebody else wants to get up to bat. Mr. Sayers?
Sure, I'll do it.
All right, let's go.
Let's see. I love helping people, and I love helping people get to the closing table and get their brand new home and set of keys. It gives me a feeling that just doesn't happen anywhere else in my life. And that feeling comes from when I was a kid, and my father kept trying to put me in a box and telling me what I could and couldn't do. And when I help people at the closing table buy their house, it gives me a feeling of freedom that I didn't get as a kid. And it drives me to help every home buyer get their house. I guess that's it. I haven't got the rest of it.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to, how would anybody respond to what Dave just said?
I think you have to include
Felt
that.
like a lot of I.
Yeah, the yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what I heard, was a lot of I's.
Thank you.
The difficulty in this is that it's when you really think about what you want to say, it's hard. It doesn't come off naturally. It's not very fluid at all. That's why the practicing of this, or the repetitive doing it as a commitment every time you get in front of a client, I don't care if you say I every time. The being able to turn it into more of a them statement comes with time and practice. And you learn how to find those, you learn to find a rhythm that's comfortable. But like Larissa struggled, and Denise was a little bit better, and Dave, you shared it a little bit, but we all know that there's things that we'd like to improve upon. Please don't be afraid to do this. I don't care that it doesn't flow as easily. I want it to be uncomfortable. It's like going to the gym for the first time after 2 years, and you go to the gym and you wake up the next morning and you're sore and it hurts and it's not comfortable and you're exhausted. But over a period of time, the soreness goes away, your stamina increases, and you're not nearly as fatigued. It's the same thing with this concept. The more you do it, the more conversational it becomes, and the more conversational it becomes, the more people are going to feel the energy that you're sharing with them. And that is where people decide to build relationships from. We have friendships in our personal life with people not because of what they do for us, or what they look like, or how much money they make. It's because of how they make us feel when we're with them. I'll say it again. Our friendships have nothing to do with anything other than how people make us feel when we're with them. What you're communicating to everybody in this dialogue is a message of feeling. It's a value that they can feel because they all can relate to it in some way, shape, or form. you're just saying it in a way that they've never heard before and have always wondered how to say it, but have never had the coaching or the practice to do it. Please don't take this at face value. This is something that you have to implement into your business in order for it to really take hold. And no matter how many times you say it, you'll always wish you said it differently, but reward yourself on the simple fact that you said it, that the message was there. And pretty soon, it'll just be so conversational that you'll be able to orchestrate the entire conversation around what you're eventually going to ask for, and they're going to be in awe because no other lender that you're competing against has that ability to present themselves. I promise. That's it. That's all I got for today. Does anybody else have questions? Is there anything else I can help with?
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah,
Give me I want a success story. Who's got a success story?